No, this movie isn't relevant today at all. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I am your host, the real Gino Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about the newest movie to go to HBO Max with the Warner Brothers deal. Today we are going to be talking about Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield and Jesse Plemons. Um, I'm probably going to get somewhat spoilery in this review. If you don't want anything spoiled, I'm telling you to watch this movie. Definitely watch this movie. As I sarcastically said in the intro, this movie is so relevant today. Um, it's the movie's set in the late 60s, and it just makes you wonder how much has really changed for people of color in this country. Um, there's, I'm just telling you, if you don't want anything spoiled, because this is based on a true story, so I'm going to be talking some spoilers just for some of the things that happen in the movie and uh, some of the character motivations and everything else. And that'll probably give up some things that are going to happen in this movie, especially uh, some of the endings. So if you don't want anything spoiled, I'm telling you, if you got HBO Max, watch it. If you don't have HBO Max and it's at a theater, go see it. It's well worth seeing. What you have with this movie is Kaluuya plays Fred Hampton, the very young chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party, and you have Lakeith Stanfield playing William O'Neill, who at the first of the movie he gets in trouble for impersonating an officer to try to steal a car, and he uses the excuse that he uses a badge instead of a gun because people are more afraid of a badge than a gun, and so he says I can accomplish more. But he's told he's going to go to prison for a long time for impersonating an officer. He would get very little time for stealing the car, but for impersonating an officer, he'd get like a ton of time in prison. So he's given a choice: go to prison or become an informant. And that's where Jesse Plemons' character comes in, and we'll get to his character in a little bit. So Neil has to decide: well, I go to prison, or not only do I inform, but I make money because they're paying him to do this. Anytime they get good intel or they want him to do something to make something happen, he gets paid. So, in a sense, he's being bribed to, give up those he's involved with. So Neil joins the Black Panther Party, and in turn, some things happen throughout the movie because he's given information to the FBI. So, okay, first of all, if this movie had any weakness, and it's not a very big weakness, but if it had any weakness, it's that though you can make the argument that this is O'Neill's story to tell, that's the story they're trying to tell, is what O'Neill did. I think Fred Hampton could have gotten a little more development. Granted, you get some decent development with him. You see him, he meets somebody. He has to decide how much of is his life worth risking, especially when he's got a child coming. There are beats for his character, and Kaluuya does a very good job playing the character. I just think maybe we could have gotten more about him in this because, again, a lot of the focus is on the character of O'Neill, Lakeith Stanfield's character. So if that's my biggest complaint, it's not a very big complaint. It's just I think I would have liked to have more about Hampton in this, because what Hampton, you heard growing up, especially if you grew up where I grew up, you would hear growing up that you know Hampton was a terrorist and all this, and you know the movie shows what he was trying to do with the Rainbow Coalition and everything, where he's trying to just keep people from being abused by police and the government. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but, you know, they were trying to help people. Now, as is with any group, I'm sure there are people that do things the wrong way or something like that, but or try to do things in a more violent way, and they do address some of that in this movie. It's like, we're gonna do this, and it's like, wait a minute, there's a scene involving some C4, and they're just like, Hampton's character's like, what are you thinking? This is not us. And so I would have liked more with Hampton's character. So that's my real complaint. But otherwise, again, Kaluuya does an amazing job at bringing this person's story, at least what they give you, to life. For the character of O'Neill, Lakeith Stanfield, who is amazing in this. What you get with his character, and I'll touch a little bit more on it when I talk about Jesse Plemons' character as well, is you have this guy that and by the way, what I'm about to tell here, it goes to when another character shows up. I'll talk about that character too, and it's kind of a spoiler, but you kind of see where his life could have gone later in the movie. But what I'm talking about leads up to that. You've got this guy who's being threatened prison, or, hey, we can pay you and you can just tell us some stuff every now and then. So he's giving floor plans and things like that. Anytime the police want to make a raid, or the FBI wants to make a raid, or whatever, he's being asked to give floor plans and information and all this stuff, and he's getting paid to do so. All the while, he's being treated very well by Jesse Plemons' character, who is his handler. And when it comes to that character, I'll talk about in a minute, you kind of see there might be somewhat of a friendship there, but you can't tell if Plemons' character is really befriending him, or if he's using him, or both. So Lakeith Stanfield's character has to decide, okay, I got to do this or that. And as he's doing these things, the government is asking them to do worse things as they go. And they keep trying to buy him off a little more. At one point, they even offer him a business, a gas station. It's like, here, we'll give you this little business, this tiny piece of the pie. And you can just see how much of an insult this is, because it's like, he's the one putting his life out there anyway, whether it be right or wrong. He's putting his life out there, and they're like, here, we're just going to give you this little nugget, because when we get to Jag or whoever, the guy pulling the strings, doesn't want one of them black people doing well in this country, right? So you can see that they're stringing him along, giving him as little as they can, even though, say, if he were doing spying for them and he was a white man, they would probably be treating him a little better. But you could just see his character throughout this movie is struggling with, am I doing the right thing? The whole time I'm just like, I know it's based on true story, but you're just like, just say you'll go to prison, man. But of course, if he does that, the government would probably kill him, because they approached him and he told them no. So you just see this character struggling on, what am I doing the right thing? At times he does resist, but they're just like, well, you don't want to do that because this, I guess you're going to prison. I know you've been working for us all this time, but we can still send you to prison. So it's like, no matter what he does, other than the time they offer him this gas station, they don't really, other than money, they don't offer him any real freedom. And even if he took this deal of this business and everything, they still probably would have pressed on him until he died. So you just see this character struggling the entire movie. He's having to snitch on something he comes to believe in, because he's like, I can't believe you're wanting me to spy on this guy. He's doing good things. They're like, well, we can't, again, we can't have a black man being powerful in this country. So anyway, Lakeith Stanfield does fantastic in this movie, portraying this torn character. And when you hear at the end of the movie how William O'Neill's life turned out, it's you can just see guilt come full circle there. Jesse Plemons plays Roy Mitchell. I don't know. I haven't done too many of the real life research in this. I've done a little, but I don't know if that's just like an amalgamation of characters or if that's the guy's real name. But he plays the handler, and they do show that he at times even questions J. Edgar Hoover in this, because does he feel trapped? Like he has to do something he doesn't believe in? Because you want to believe that his liking of Bill O'Neill, William O'Neill's, you want to think he really somewhat cares for him, even though he's using him at times. And maybe does he feel like he has to do that to keep his career? Because he questions some of the orders. Like, wait, why are we doing this? And J. Edgar Hoover, is an a-hole about some things, because ultimately the government is the villain in this, and of course J. Edgar Hoover's the ringleader. So his character feels like he's even struggling with decisions, even though they kind of come easier for him because he's a white man in this country, and he doesn't have to worry about some of the things that a black man would have to worry about. So you got those characters. Then you get the J. Edgar Hoover, who is as slimy and terrible as you imagine him to be. And it's almost unrecognizable performance by Martin Sheen. I mean, I caught it. I'm like, is that? I'm the whole time, I had to stop the movie for a second. I'm like, is that Martin Sheen? And sure enough, it is. And he plays J. Edgar Hoover every bit of the a-hole you imagine J. Edgar Hoover was. The paranoid, the hateful, spiteful man that he was. And Sheen does a good job at really making you hate his guts. So those are there's other main characters as well, and there's many other stories being told throughout this, but those are your main characters they follow. When it comes to Bill O'Neill, later in the movie, there is a character played by Little Rel Howery who, I'm getting into big spoilers here. They want O'Neill to poison Hampton's drink. It's not like death poison. It's kind of like something to like really put him to sleep, like where he can't wake up for a long time, and they want him to slip it into a drink. And of course, this is where O'Neill he really fights him on it, but it's just like, but we can still send you to prison. And this is before the FBI raid the apartment of Hampton and kill him. And so Howery's character approaches O'Neill, and he's just like, here, put this in his drink. And it's just like, wait a minute. He goes to question this guy. It's like, who are you? And he's like, just don't question it. And it makes you wonder if Howery's character is what O'Neill would have became if he just kept at this. Would they just keep giving him more and more just horrible, dirty things to do? And Howery's character just doesn't seem to be questioning it, but you wonder deep down if he's just like, I'm stuck in this game and I'll never get out. Just don't question it. Just do it. And you just wonder, is that what he's going to become? But yeah, that leads to Hampton's death. And one thing I read about whenever I was researching the movie is how they didn't want to sensationalize some things in this movie, like Hollywood it up, or so to speak. So the scene where Hampton is killed, they were like, we're going to have people come through the windows and bust through the doors. And the realistic story was just like, no, they just kind of came in and killed him. And of course he can't wake up, and they just go in and they shot him. And that's near where the movie ends. And we see where O'Neill leads up, because part of the movie is him being interviewed. I guess it's based on this one or so rare interviews he did later in life that O'Neill did. But yeah, this movie, look, it's showing you back in the 60s just how hard the government and the police tried to keep down people of color. And how relevant is that today? And I don't get too political on this channel, but you know what? Screw it. When we had a former president who gassed Black Lives Matters groups so he could take a picture in front of a church with a damn Bible, yet the government, led by that same douche, not send the National Guard so the Capitol could be raided. But it was and look, I'm not saying there wasn't some black people out in that crowd, but we can all agree the majority of them were white. And it just tells you this country is still a damaged country, and this movie is just as relevant today as the story happening back then was. And if you get a chance to see it, see it. It's not only a good movie, but man, it should really rub you the wrong way. And it rubbed me the wrong way. Because it's just, I know that this country can be so much better, and it's not. It's just not. And it sickened me to watch this movie. I'm not saying it sickened me because it was bad. It sickened me because it told the story so well that, damn, it hurt. So if you get a chance to see it, see it. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Gino YouTube channel. Like this video. You have anything to say about Judas and the Black Messiah, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I am your host, the Real Gino, Gino Reynolds. See you later.